get this question so often that I thought it was important to bring it up on the podcast. That question is, if I'm going to start hiring someone, how many hours do they start out with? This most common question of how many hours should I hire someone to start with is completely up to you. I think that's the best part about being an entrepreneur is you call the shots. So you decide, how many hours do you want that person to start? Do you want them to work 20 hours? Do you want them to work 40 hours? Do you want them to work 10? It's whatever you decide. Now, what's great about deciding how many hours someone can start is being able to tailor that job description to exactly what you need it to be. I always refer back to the list that I've made, which I call my delegation checklist. So this is a list of things that I keep handy where I know exactly like tasks that I don't want to do, I don't like to do, maybe I just don't know how to do, that someone would be better suited to do. So there's a couple things that I want to mention when you're making this to-do list. So mine, I put, I do this. The next column is I need to do this. The third column is somebody else could do this. And of course, the fourth column would be not applicable. So what I do after I've made my delegation list, it's this huge list of, I respond back to emails, I answer the phone, whatever your list looks like, totally okay. So then I go through these columns and I decide which one does this best fit into? Do I really need to be doing this myself, or could I be passing that to somebody else? So, depending on the length of your list that you've been working on and how many things that you look at, and one thing too that I'll mention on a side note is when you think to yourself, I'm the only one that can do this, I encourage you to dig a little deeper and think about, do you really need to be doing this? Because there could be someone else better suited for that. You're just so used to doing that job that you think you need to, but you really don't. So once you've gone through that list, you've made all those determinations of who could be doing this, things like that. You can start to clump those together and you could say, okay, it looks like the majority of these tasks are all something that can be done on the computer. It's something that is not client facing. It's something that someone could do maybe for, 3 hours a week, depending on how long it takes you to do it. Now, one thing that you want to keep in mind too is something that you do every day. Let's say it takes you 3 hours to check email, for example. So if you're used to checking your email 3 hours a week, deleting them, moving things around, doing all the things that you do inside your email, keep in mind that someone starting out is probably going to need a little bit more time. You're just so used to it, the rhythms that you've created, that teaching someone else that in the beginning, they're not going to be able to do it in 3 hours. They might have to do it in 5. So that's something to think about when you're looking to hire someone. But clumping those tasks together and saying, okay, so someone could check my email, they could sort my email, they could send back my templated responses, they could clean out my junk folders. All those things kind of create a section. So then you can reach out to either a virtual staff finder or, someone, a virtual staffing agency maybe, and reach out and say, okay, here's my list of things. I need to find someone to do these for me. What do you think it would cost to have someone do that? I'm thinking maybe 5 to 10 hours a week for that job, and then let them help guide you through that process. Now, you could also go about this yourself and jump on Fiverr or Upwork or something like that, and you definitely could. But for me, when you're first starting out and you don't really know what you're doing or if you're doing it the right way or how do I really go about this, I think it's important when hiring people is that you use a staffing agency. Now, there is a cost associated with that, but it is well worth the money. And they might also be able to help you and say, hey, listen, it looks like you've got a lot of computer tasks going there. So a lot of email things, are there additional tasks that you could add to that? Maybe managing your email contact list or checking voicemails or transcribing voicemails, anything else that they might think might be a good fit that would give that person a total of 10 hours a week. Have a conversation with the agency about that and see what fits best. But really, it's ultimately up to you. By them and you helping to determine how many hours is also going to help you determine how much money it's going to cost you every month, because I definitely think that's something that you need to make sure that you have an amount of money set aside for this person. Now, if you're saying, but Jill, wait, I'm not even making any money in my business. Where is that money going to come from? Here's the best part. The money will come, but you've got to hire that person before you're ready. And there's other things in your budget that if you really sat down and took a hard look at, I'm absolutely positive you could cut a couple things in different areas in order to afford someone to be able to help you with your email. Now, keep in mind that by someone doing this for you, frees up an extra 3 to 5 hours a week on something that you're currently spending your time on. What could you do with an extra 3 hours? You could update your website. You could create that course. You could create that freemium that is going to drive people to your list, which is ultimately going to result in sales. So it's important that you shift your perspective in thinking, oh my gosh, I have to pay somebody. I don't have any money. Where's the money going to come from? I can't do it. You've got to switch that and know that your business is growing. And by shifting some of that work over to someone who is going to check those emails, make sure that that is all taken care of, is going to free you up to do the work that only you truly can do. Now, I use email in this example, but it could always be laundry. Whatever your destination procrastination is, you can find someone to help you with it. I thought many years ago we were struggling to find a system. I knew I wanted to do Trello, Asana, something like that, some sort of project management system, but I didn't really know what I was going to do. And I tried to set it up myself and it just was a mess. And my poor team was like, we got to get it together. Like, what is happening with this? And then I was having a conversation with one of my girlfriends, and the light bulb went off. And I was like, I could hire someone to set up my Asana. And lo and behold, there was actually someone that could do that. So, whatever people tell me, oh, there's not somebody that would want to help me with that, there absolutely is. You just have to believe in it. So we found A. She did an amazing job. We chatted about what we needed. She set up our whole Asana. We still use it to this day. We love it. As our business continues to grow, I mean, there's so many things happening with the podcast right now. I'm so excited to share it with you in the future. But just know that all that stuff is managed inside Asana. And that would have never been possible without A, because I would have continued to struggle with it. I wouldn't have figured out how to set it up. So keep in mind that there's people out there for any task that you need help with, or something that you're like, I know I need this, but I don't know how to set it up. Those people are out there and you can find them. Make sure that you check it on your list, that you've created your delegation checklist, and see if there's any additional tasks that could be associated with setting up your Asana, for example, that might go hand in hand with that job that you could have that person do at the same time. Anytime that you can find someone to help you with these tasks, a huge weight will be lifted off of you and passed to someone else that enjoys that type of work. A loved it. She loved setting everything up, making sure that everything got to where it needed to be. It was amazing, and it was an absolute game changer for our business. So if there's a task that you've been putting off because you don't know how to do it, or some giant thing that you're like, I need help with this, I don't know what to do, but I know that I shouldn't be doing this task anymore, I encourage you to create your delegation checklist. Make sure that you're checking off all the things and pass that on to somebody else so you can focus on your area of genius.